Welcome to SourceCAD. In this video, I'm going to be talking about making a spanner in Fusion 360. And for this, I'll start with the 2D sketch of a spanner, which I already have. So I'll start by importing that sketch inside this Fusion 360 software. So let's get started. Alright, so let's go to this insert and select attached canvas. Now we need to select a face on which we'll attach it, and in this case I'm going to select this one. Now go to this image, click on it and select the image. So I have image on the desktop, so I'm going to go to this desktop and here I have it, this DRG drawing, and open. Alright, so now we have it. The drawing is attached here, although it's kind of very small. When you zoom in, you'll notice that this is the size of a drawing. That's kind of fine. I'll just zoom in and I'll just look at the transparency, which is kind of okay, but yes, you can decrease or increase this transparency. Right now the transparency is set to 50%, so maybe we can pump this number down. We can decrease it a little bit so that we have a much more transparent kind of drawing. Okay, so now we have the canvas with these settings. I'm going to click on OK. And the canvas is now attached. So we now need to calibrate this drawing because currently we don't have the proper size of this spanner. So it's kind of random size here. We don't know the exact size according to the units which is set here in the Fusion 360. So to calibrate this, I'll go to this canvas and I'll select DRG drawing, which is this image, right click, and I'll select calibrate. Now we need to specify two different points, and for that I'll go to front, okay, so that we can see this in this clear view, and I'll select any one of the reference from this. In this case, one of the clearest type of reference is this 70 unit length, which is the distance between this point and this point. So I'm going to select these 2 points as the reference. So I'll click on this point right here, approximately here, and you don't need to be very precise in this case. Then the second point will be somewhere over here, and that length is 70 unit, which is right now 9.89. so I'm going to change it to 70 and I'll press enter, and there we have it. So now the drawing is calibrated and all the remaining length will change accordingly. Alright, so we are done with this. Now we can start making our drawing. So to begin with, first I'll start by grid and I'll activate the grid so that we have this background grid, although it's not very necessary, but still I'll just keep this active. Now let's go to sketch. Okay, you know what, before moving to the sketch panel, I'll move this drawing properly to the origin, and for that I'll go to this grid option and I'm going to deactivate some of these options, including the incremental move, and maybe we can keep rest of these options. Also make sure snap to grid is unchecked, so this option should be unchecked, and also incremental move should be unchecked. So now we can select this DRG canvas, right click and select edit canvas, and we have these gizmos. Let's select it and I'm going to move this one to origin, so I'll try to snap it approximately to the origin like this. Alright, so there we have it. So this will be the point which will be at the origin. We are done. I'll click on OK. Alright, now we can start making our drawing. So let's start by adding a circle. So I'll go to circle and I'll select center diameter. We obviously need to select a plane. I'll select this one. Alright, now I'll click at this origin point and I'm going to make the first circle here. So in this case, this is not the circle which we need here. As you can clearly see that we need to start circle from this origin. That's kind of off-centric here. So let's repeat the circle command again. You can also use its shortcut C. So I'll click here and now that looks better. So I'm going to click here and the radius is 10. That means the diameter should be 20. So I'll press escape. I'll go to D and let's change it to 20. Alright, so there we have it. The diameter is 20. Now we need to make some reference lines. So let's type L and that's going to start the line command. I'll click on this point again, the origin, and I'll make a line like this. All right. Now we need to make sure that this line is at an angle of 45 degrees with respect to the horizontal line. So we need an horizontal line as well. So I'll go to this one, this same point, and I'm going to make a perfectly horizontal line like this. All right, so this is horizontal one. Now let's convert them into construction lines. So I'll select them both by pressing and holding the control key, and I'll click on construction. Now these two are construction lines. All right, let's type D, and well, let's type D, select this one, and let's select this one, and this angle is 45. So press enter, and there we have it. All right, so that's now set. Now we need to make two offsets here. So I'll go to this sketch, and I'm going to select offset. I'll click on this one, this construction line, and the offset distance is 4 units. So 4, and press enter. I'll go to offset again, or maybe you can use O, the shortcut for offset. Select this one, and this time change the direction to this side, but the distance is again 4, so 4 and enter, and there we have it. Now we need to increase this length a little bit, so we'll do that later on, but first let's go to line and make a line that starts from origin right here, and the length of this line should be equal to 70 units, which you can see here clearly. So I'll click approximately at this point. All right, and there we have it. So again, D, this length, and this is going to be 70 unit, and I'll press enter. So there we have it, the line of length 70 unit. Now let's go to sketch, extend, and we'll extend this one up to this point right here. Also, we need to make sure that these 2 points are coincident, which it is not in this case, although they look like coincident, but when you zoom in enough, you'll notice that these two are not. So I'm going to select these 2 points, and I'll select coincident, and there we have it. Now these are coincident. All right, now the radius of this circle is 10 unit, and the center of this will be somewhere along this line. So for that, I'm going to go to sketch, and I'll make a point. So here we have this point option. I'll make a point anywhere on this one, this line. Again, I'll go to D, and I'll add the distance between these 2 points as 10 unit. All right, there we have it. Now again, C for circle, and this is the center and the circle, and I'll press escape. All right, so this part is almost complete, although it's kind of not very clear at the moment, but when you trim some of these extra portions, it will become clear to you. So let's trim some of the extra parts which are not needed. So I'm going to start with trim, sketch, and trim, and I'll trim this part, and from here I'm going to trim this part. Also, I'll trim this part and this part. And that's enough. We don't need to trim anything else. I'll press escape key. Now we can delete this circle completely, this arc actually. All right, now we need to add fillets here. So I'll go to sketch, fillet. Now this radius, as you can see here, is 1 unit. Okay, so this line and this line, and the radius is 1, and enter. We need to repeat that. So again, I'm going to go to fillet, this line, this one, the radius is 1, and press enter, and we are done. We also need to clean this one. So again, I'm going to go to trim. So I'll press T for trim. This part needs to go. There we have it. So this is now almost complete. Now let's move to this one. So here again, we have this straight line, and we can just convert this into a construction line. So I'll select this one and hit the construction. Now that's converted to a construction line. And we can make this part, or maybe we can finish this part. So let's just start with this one, and later on we'll just take care of this one. So now once again, I'm going to go to circle. I'll click approximately at this point, so that hardly matters. And now in this case, the radius is 9 unit, as you can see here. So the diameter should be 18. So again, D, select the circle, D, select the circle, and the diameter should be 18, and enter. All right, that's done. Now again, we need our line. So I'll go to line from this point or maybe from this point. We need a line that's at an angle of 45 degrees. So there we have it. Now this line should be at an angle of 45 degrees with respect to this one. So for that, again, I'll go to D, this line, this one, and this angle is 45, and there we have it. All right, so that's done. But now we need to also make sure that these two are coincident when increased in length. Also, we need to make sure that this one is horizontal, which it is in this case. All right, so let's move it a little bit here, maybe just here. Okay, and now we need to extend this. So again, I'm going to go to sketch, extend. I'll extend this one up to this point, and now I'll make it coincident. So these two are obviously not coincident, so I'm going to select this endpoint, this one, and I'll make that coincident. And there we have it. Now that's perfectly coincident, but now this point should be on this line, which it is not. So I'm going to select this one and this line, and it should be coincident too, like this. Okay, so the distance between these 2 points in this vertical direction is 1.71, as you can see here. So let's go to D, this point, this line, and this distance is 1.71, and I'll press enter. There we have it. Now the radius of this circle, this one, is 9 units, or you can call this an arc. So the radius of this arc is 9 units. So the center of this arc should be somewhere along this line, and again for that I'm going to use a point. So I'll just click anywhere on this line here, and again D, from this point to this point the distance should be 9 units. There we have it. Again, C, this point, and this should end here. There we have it. Okay, so we have the second circle too. Now we need to make 2 offsets. So again, this should be the construction line. So construction and offset. So I'm going to use the shortcut O for this. This distance is 7.2, the complete distance. So that means half of this distance should be 3.6. So let's type 3.6 and press enter. Again, offset this one, and in the opposite side it should be 3.6. There we have it. All right, and this part is also almost complete. We just need to trim some of the extra portions. So again, T for trim, and I'm gonna trim this part, which is not necessary. Also, I'll trim this part and this part, and these two as well. And now we can just add the fillets. So again, sketch, and here we have the fillet, and the radius in this case is again 1 unit, because as you can see here, the radius is 1 for 4 fillets. Here we have added it only to the 2 fillets, so the remaining 2 fillets must be here. So again, this part and this part, and the radius is 1, and enter. Sketch, fillet, again this circle, this line, the radius is 1, and enter. And we are done. Okay, now we can add this part of the spanner, and for that I'm going to offset this line. So again, offset this one. The distance should be 4 units in this case. So 4, and okay, again offset. So O, this one, opposite direction, and 4 units, and enter. All right, so that's done. We need to add these 2 offsets as well, and that distance is 2 units along the upwards and the lower direction. So again, offset this one, the distance is 2. Again, offset this one, opposite direction, distance is 2, and enter. And we are done. Now let's add some fillets here, but before doing that we need to trim these portions, these parts. So I'm gonna go to T, I'll trim this part here, and I'm gonna trim this part as well, and again fillet, sketch, fillet. Now this radius is 30 units, this one is 30, and so is this. So this one is also 30, this one is 8, and this one is also 8. So I'll select this part here and this part here. and let's press escape and repeat that again. So fillet, so this one and this one, and the radius is 30, and enter. There we have it. Again, I'll go to fillet, so this line and this circle, and the radius is 8. There we have it. Let's repeat that for this side. So again, I'll go to sketch and fillet, and this line and the circle, the radius is 8, and let's repeat it once again. So this line and this one, and it's 30. Alright, so that's done. Now we need to add these two parallel lines. So again, I'm going to go to this sketch. I'll make just a parallel line, a random one. Obviously it's not parallel, actually it's a perpendicular line. It's perpendicular with respect to this construction line, and we need to make another offset here. So let's go to offset, and I'll type O for that. I'll select this one, and along this direction we need to make an offset at a distance of 36 unit. So 36 and enter, and there we have it. Now the distance between this line and this center point is 70 minus 36 divided by 2. Well, that's because 70 minus 36 is 34, and that's the combined distance of this part as well as this part. So half of that should be 17. So let's type D. The distance between this one and this point is 17. Alright, now we need to take care of this radius as well. The radius of this circular portion is 2 units. So if we add 2 unit radius to move it here, then that's going to be like 19 units. So I'll double click here and I'll change it to 19, and that's it. Now this is 19, this is taken care of, and now we can trim this, or maybe we can just make this semicircle here and we can just delete the remaining part. So let's do that. So I'll type C for the circle, click on this point, and I'm going to make the circle here, again this point, and I'll make the circle here. And trim, well, let's trim this, and let's trim this as well. We don't need this and this. We don't need this as well as this, and we are done. Now carefully remove this extra line from here, and also remove this extra line here. Alright, and we are almost done. So we just need to get rid of this one. This line is also not needed, and this one is also no longer needed. Alright, and our drawing is almost finished. We don't have a fully constrained drawing yet, and you can add extra dimensions here to make it fully constrained, but let's skip that part for now. And let's hide some of the constraints. So I'll just go to show constraint option here, and I'm gonna hide it here, okay, so that it looks kind of clean. Okay, and now we'll add the thickness. Now for that, well, okay, maybe before going to that, let's hide the canvas as well to make it look clean, and there we have it. Now you can clearly see that we don't have it fully constrained. We can add a lot of different constraints here in this drawing, and it's not yet fully constrained, so I encourage you to do that if you want to make it fully constrained. And it's always a good practice to fully constrain our drawing before moving to the 3D. So now I'm going to go to stop sketch, okay, and we'll convert this into 3D. Now for that, I'll go to create, I'll select this area, okay, and we need to stretch it in both the directions. So I'll go to one side and I'll change it to symmetric. We want to add the thickness on both the sides, so I'll select the second option here, and the thickness should be 3 unit, and there we have it. So let's orbit this drawing to see this even clearly. Okay, there we have it. Looks kind of good to me, so I'm gonna keep that thickness value for this particular drawing. Okay. Alright, so now we have a problem. Even after adding this, it's not recognizing this part of the drawing, so it's just adding the thickness everywhere. So that means there is some sort of problem in this groove. Now to edit that, we can move back to the sketch. So I'll right click and I'll go to edit sketch here from the timeline here, and now we need to just correct the error which is here. So let's zoom in a little bit, and that's the error. These 2 points are not coincident. So let's make them coincident. So I'm going to select them both and I'll make it coincident. And I'll repeat the process here. So again, I'll just go to this point and this point here, and I'm going to make it coincident. Also, this distance is 36 unit, as you can see here. So let's add that distance. So the distance between these 2 points is obviously 36 unit, as you can see here. Now we need to just make sure that these 2 are perfectly vertical. So I'll select them both and I'm going to make them vertical like this. And we need to fix one more thing here. We need to make sure that this distance is 19 units. So again, I'm going to go to D. I'll select this point here, and I'll add the constraint which was deleted, and there we have it, 19. So now this sketch is fixed and we can now add the thickness here. So again, I'm going to go to top sketch and create. I'll select this part and there we have it. So now this is properly working. So again, I'll go to symmetric, whole length and 3 unit, and okay, we can hide the canvas now. We don't need it. Alright, so there we have it. Now we have this groove where we need to again add some thickness. So for that we need this sketch. So I'm gonna just go to this browser and I'll activate this sketch. Now we have the sketch. I'll go to create, I'll go to this area, and once again symmetric, the second option, 1 unit in both the direction, and okay, there we have it. So it's almost finished. We just need to add some fillets. Now for that, first let's hide the grid. It's kind of distracting now, so we don't need it. And now let's go to modify and fillet. So I'll go to this one here, then this one, then this bottom side. Let's orbit this, and this one here as well. Okay, now the radius of fillet is 1. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to keep that radius here, and okay, there we have it. Now we need to add a fillet value here too. So again, I'm going to go to this modify and fillet. I'll select this edge and orbit this drawing, select this edge as well. This time enter a fillet value of 0.5, and okay, and there we have it. So the spanner is now finished. Okay, and well, we need to hide the grid, and that's our spanner. And we can now hide the sketch too if you want. So that's how you can make a spanner, a very simple spanner in Fusion 360. I hope you liked this video. If you have any question related to this video, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to share it. So thanks again for watching.